everybody, this is Charlize Nocti Girl. Today we're diving into a topic that's been making the rounds online. Is Kodak shutting down? If that were true, it would change film photography forever. But the story isn't as simple as the headlines make it sound. So let's unpack Kodak's history, its struggles, and what this could mean for the future of film. Before we talk about Kodak's present, it helps to understand just how important this company has been. Back in the 1870s, George Eastman was a young bank clerk planning a trip with a friend. The problem? Photography at the time was ridiculously complicated. Cameras were ginormous, and you needed bulky tripods, glass plates, even portable tents and chemicals just to develop the images. The whole process was such a hassle, Eastman never even went on the trip. Instead, he became obsessed with solving the problem. He started experimenting with gelatin emulsions after reading about them in British journals. Within 3 years, he created a formula that kept plates light sensitive even when dry. That breakthrough changed everything. By 1888, Eastman's company released the Kodak #1 camera with the slogan, "You press the button, we do the rest." For $25, you got a camera preloaded with 100 shots. Once you finished a roll, you sent it back with $10. Kodak processed your film, mailed you the prints and negatives, and reloaded the camera for you. Think about how revolutionary that was. Suddenly, photography wasn't just for chemists or technicians, it was for everyone. From there, Kodak became deeply woven into history. Thanks to Kodak roll film, Thomas Edison was able to create the first motion picture cameras. Hollywood quickly became one of Kodak's biggest partners. During World War II, Kodak trained pilots in aerial reconnaissance and worked with Edwin Land, who later went on to found Polaroid. In 1935, they launched Kodachrome, which completely transformed color photography. And it didn't just stop there. Kodak film went on spy satellites. It traveled to the moon with Apollo astronauts. And here's a twist of fate. In 1975, one of Kodak's own engineers actually built the very first digital camera. Here's the irony. Kodak invented digital photography, but the executives at the time were terrified of what it meant. What if it destroyed their profitable film business? So they shelved it. Instead, Kodak tried to diversify into chemicals, a move that ended up costing billions. When digital eventually took over in the 2000s, Kodak pivoted to digital cameras, and for a moment, it seemed to work. In 2005, Kodak was actually the top seller of digital cameras in the US. Surprising, right? But digital cameras were a low-margin business, and competition from Asia quickly eroded their lead. Sorry. Film profits shrank. Digital never replaced them, and Kodak's finances spiraled. By 2012, they filed for bankruptcy. To survive, they sold $525 million worth of patents to Apple, Google, Samsung, and others. They killed off their camera and printer businesses and spun off Kodak Alaris. From then on, it was mostly licensing. They lent their name to everything from a smartphone to, get this, even the cryptocurrency called Kodak Coin and the Bitcoin miner called the Kodak Cash Miner. Neither lasted long. But film survived. In 2015 and again in 2020, Kodak signed deals to keep supplying Hollywood. And as demand picked back up, they even started hiring technicians again in 2022. So, where does that leave us today? When a notice started circulating online about Kodak shutting down, the panic was real. Film shooters everywhere started asking, what happens to us if Kodak disappears? But Kodak quickly clarified, no, they're not shutting down. They're restructuring, paying off debt, and diversifying. Here's something interesting. Kodak quietly makes film for other brands. Cine still modifies Kodak cinema film, and there are strong rumors that Fuji and Lomography rely on Kodak stock as well. So in a way, even if you're not shooting Kodak film, you probably still are. And Kodak's reach goes beyond photography. In Shanghai, for instance, I came across Kodak branded fashion, clothes and bags licensed to a Korean company. Imagine walking into a shop expecting film and instead finding a Kodak hoodie. It's strange, but it shows just how far the Kodak name has traveled. And then there are the patents. Over the years, Kodak has held more than 79,000 patents. Many have been sold, but plenty still generate revenue. So while Kodak isn't thriving like before, it's not vanishing overnight either. For me, Kodak isn't just another brand, it's part of my own journey. Portra, Gold, Tri-X, each stock has its own voice. Some of my favorite images were created with Kodak film. It's hard to imagine photography without it. Their film isn't just chemistry, it's art, it's history, it's memory. So maybe the real question isn't, is Kodak shutting down, but what happens to photography if it ever does? For now, Kodak is still here. They're not shutting down, not today anyway. And the film community definitely still needs them. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Kodak is in its final chapter, or could they reinvent themselves once again? Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading them. Until next time, keep shooting, stay naughty, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!